Brent Alpha has a steel jacket support structure which stands in a water depth of 140 metres and weighs 31,000 tonnes. At the base of its 8 legs are footings, giant steel piles filled with cement which pin the structure to the sea floor. Shell is removing the platforms or topside and the steel jacket structure above the footings. Together, this will allow for 25,000 tonnes of steel to be recycled. Shell has considered different options for decommissioning the footings themselves. It looked at whether it was feasible to cut and completely remove the footings in a single lift with the steel jacket.
The positive elements of complete removal is you are leaving the seabed in the same state that you found it in, so you have removed all hazards from the seabed.
Any option for complete removal requires excavation of the cuttings around the legs of the jacket so that you can then cut below the mudline using some sort of technique like diamond wire cutting or high-pressure water abrasive cutting.
Sounds straightforward, but in reality that's a very complex operation which has a high degree of safety risk of those involved, either through remotely operated vehicles or through divers to actually allow that cut to take place.
The team also considered removing the jacket and then removing the footings separately. But both these options are complicated by the existence of piles of drill cuttings around the footings. These shards of rock, discarded during the drilling process, contain some contaminants.
So no matter how you go about trying to remove all of the footings, you would have some kind of disturbance effect on the drill cuttings, which is undesirable and does have a negative environmental impact.
The team also considered a third option, removing the jacket but leaving the footings in place. It commissioned independent studies to assess the consequences.
DNV have had to take into account what is the impact of the jacket degrading over the next sort of 300 to 500 years versus the massive amounts of energy and effort and CO2 emissions that would have to take place to actually remove those footings. The outcome of that for the jacket from environmental aspects is very low impact if we leave those footings in place.
So our recommendation for the Alpha jacket is to take away the top 2/3 of the jacket, to bring that ashore and recycle that, and then leave the bottom third of the jacket in place.
The regulations allow for this if it's the most appropriate method. Other operators have done the same.
In the northern North Sea, where the Brents are, BP's Northwest Hutton platform, for example, left the footings and the cuttings behind. Murchison, CNR's platform, also quite close to the Brents, will be leaving their footings and cuttings behind as well.
Shell recognises that leaving the footings would create a snagging hazard for fishermen. It would ensure the footings are marked on maritime charts and entered into the FishSafe system.
There's a FishSafe system, which is a computerised system on all fishing vessels in the North Sea, all UK fishing vessels that have an audible alarm in the cockpit so that fishermen know to avoid the area.
We're prepared to live with that, provided all the necessary trials to allow us to fish as close as sensibly possible to anything that's left happen. To be absolutely frank, a hazard on the seabed is not new. Wrecks and natural features exist already.